Before we kick off this episode, we'd just like to acknowledge the passing of Sean Quilty, which happened over the weekend, July 16th, 2022. Sean was an Olympian and 3-time World Championship representative over the marathon, and he passed away after a long and courageous battle with cancer. Known to everyone in athletic circles as Doona, he won a silver medal behind his good mate Steve Monteghetti in the 1994 Commonwealth Games in Canada in 2:14:57, and he wore the green and gold on 3 World Championship occasions in Gothenburg, Athens and Seville. Sean became an Olympian in 1996, twice represented Australia in the World Cross Country, and made a second Commonwealth Games team in 1998. His lifetime PBs for the half marathon were 62:16 and 2:13:20. I had the privilege of getting to know Sean over a few years in the Victorian Athletic League, and he picked up 3 sashes at stall over the years, the most recent one in 2019. Rest in peace, Sean Quilty.
We are so excited that this episode of Inside Running is sponsored by Peaks and Trails, a premier trail running event to be held in Dunkeld at the foot of the Grampians on the 6th and 7th of August.
We're particularly excited because last year they had to cancel the event 2 days out, which was a massive blow to over 250 competitors who'd already entered.
Welcome to episode number 246 of the Inside Running podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week of what's happening in the running world. So we're really appreciative that you're giving us some of your attention to hear us talk about it for the next 60, 90 minutes. A big welcome to my co-host. He's up in Canberra, Bradley Croker. Welcome to you this week.
Thanks, Brady. How you going?
Yeah, I'm going well. Thanks, Brad. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. My Foxtel recorder's getting a good workout with all of the athletics that's on at the moment.
Oh, my kids have never watched so much track and field in their life. You know what I'm liking, though? That mascot. He's helping out the viewing a bit when they... What is he? A bit of a Sasquatch? Is that what they're called? The yellow Sasquatch? You seen him?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of the mascot because I taped the marathon last night, taped the 10K this morning, and then I just fast forward everything that I'm not interested in watching and then watch the stuff that I want to watch. So
you're missing some of his best work, that guy. Anyway, we'll talk about him a bit later on. My other co-host, the only representative we've had at a World Championships, male, since 2017, Julian Spence, the marathon rep at Doha in 2019. Another World Champs goes by, and you're still our only man, Moose. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. You've cherry-picked that one nicely.
It's a good stat, isn't it? Think about it. We had the boys in 2017, then just you in 2019, and no one last night in 2022.
Yeah, I didn't watch last night, but the quality of the race was a little higher than the Doha race. A bit quicker paces and deeper. I just saw one guy, Thies, I forget his surname.
Oh, yeah, guy from Denmark?
Denmark, yeah. He was
listener of the show, yeah.
49th. He ran 2:17.
2:16, I think.
Or
2:16 something?
It was 16 something.
Was it? Oh, his Strava said 2:17. But yeah, so I don't know. 2:17. The course was hilly. Did you watch it or not?
I wouldn't say hilly. There was just a couple of lumps and bumps. So it was like a 14K loop, basically. And they did that 3 times.
Warm? What was the temperature?
No, it was pretty good, like 12 degrees.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because they start at 6 a.m, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'll get to that a bit later on. Croaks, tell us what you've been doing in your running world, your running week, and then we'll move on to the big dogs. I feel bad recapping our own weeks when there's so much elite running going on. But anyway, we'll stick to it and do it.
Won't take long because I didn't do anything real exciting. So I was coming off a bit of sickness at the start of last week. Plus, obviously, I'd only run on the Saturday. So I'd only had one run leading up to the start of this week. So I did 32 minutes on the Monday out at Mulligan's, 4:17s. Then did 45 minutes on the Tuesday at 4:12s. And then Wednesday bumped it up to an hour, 4:17s. And then from about Thursday was completely over the sickness and legs started to feel really good again. So I actually started this run on the Thursday from Yerrabee and then ran from Yerrabee to Mulligans, did a lap and then headed back. And I think I'm going to do a bit more of this on a Thursday because I want to start doing strides. And when I run at Mulligans, there's just not a real great place to do strides, whereas down at Yerrabee is nice and flat. I can change my shoes down there at the car. So, I did about 11.5K at 4:05s and then did a few strides. Then Friday, an hour, 4:03s. Saturday, 45 minutes at 4:08s, and then 90 minutes on Sunday at 4-minute Ks. So just lots of jogging, but from Thursday onwards, started to feel really good again. So 92K for the week. So I might look at doing some sort of session at some point this week. That was my week.
Hey, what shoes are you changing into for strides?
I only did the one, but I wore the Asics Metaspeed Sky Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first time I put them on. So I just did a few, I just did like 5 20-second strides or something. But I will give them it's hard to judge just doing strides. I'll give them a proper workout maybe this week or next week.
We're reviewing them next week, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I'll put them on this week then.
Something like that. What are both your boys' thoughts on doing strides in like not super shoes, like low profile racing flats to try and get a bit of calf strength there? You like it, or you reckon it's dangerous?
It's not dangerous. No, not dangerous.
If you haven't been in them for a while, though, potentially could be.
Not with that sort of not
15, 20 seconds. And you're not sprinting. Like you're not sprinting. You work into the strides as well. I find like my first couple are always pretty crap. Like they feel crap. Compared to like my fourth or fifth.
Only a minute of running, isn't it? And it's a gradual, like only probably 20 seconds of high end pace work. But yeah, I'd say it's not a bad idea. Like it would feel quite good to do that if you have a pair left floating around.
Yeah,
I used to do that. Yeah, I used to do that a bit actually down at the synthetic oval that I used to run laps of. Sometimes I'd do some strides in like streak sixes or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it not enough time and duration to get like calf benefit from it though? If you're only going to do say like 6 or 7 strides of 15, 20 seconds?
It's not just calf. It's like full ankle load as well. There's a lot of tendon, like Achilles stuff. Then you've got the intrinsics of the foot if you're in a more flexible shoe. And then it is helping. Like I feel like it helps be more snappy, like ground contact time. Because you're not sinking into foam. So I think there is benefit using those shoes.
Well, I find sometimes the downside of, and because I only did strides in that shoe because I just wanted, I've had them for a few weeks. I didn't want to put them on before the marathon because I just didn't want to like change shoes in the lead up to the marathon. And so I just wanted to put them on, but I find sometimes doing strides in those higher stacked super shoes, like there's just too much. Sometimes it's just too much shoe when you're trying to run that sort of pace. So I actually do prefer running in like a lighter, lower profile shoe just from a feel point of view. Yeah.
Hey, Croaks, what are you, 2 weeks past Gold Coast? Do you reckon you've dodged a bullet of any post-marathon injuries?
Yeah, like pretty good. The start of the week, so my first run on the Saturday, I remember I mentioned to you boys when I was warming up, like my back and hip was like just a bit tight, which tends to happen when I just take time off running, and it was a bit niggly the first half of the week, but I ran today, and today was the best run I've had. I had none of that hip tightness, and because when my hip gets tight, I start to feel sort of top of my hamstring a little bit more, feel a bit restricted when I run, but today it was 100%, so I think so.
Good to hear. Moose, tell us about your week. You're building nice little skyscraper here.
Yeah, well, just got up a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, I did. Noticed that.
The first day of the week was on, was it the 12th? No. Sorry. I'm just looking at it this normal.
11th.
The 11th. All right, yeah.
You're on the bike.
No, I had a jog. Oh, you motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, you did. 8K in the afternoon. Bike in the morning.
Bike in the morning. So I just did 8K in the afternoon. So because I didn't do a long run on the Sunday, I thought I'd get out for a Monday jog. So yeah, 8K, 7K in the morning. Got a new pair of Nike Invincibles. Just adore that shoe for jogging in. It's one of the kings of the running world for easy days anyway. So I did it Tuesday morning, did a little threshold. Oh, this was Wednesday morning, sorry. Did a little threshold. I did 4x5 minutes it ended up being sub-threshold. It was more tempo feel, and then I kind of kept my heart rate in check towards the end of the workout. So 4x5 minutes with 90 seconds jog. I did this around the river loop, which is like a combination of dirt roads. There is one asphalted section for probably 1 kilometre, and you got to cross a little bridge. But yeah, it's not the fastest place, but it's quite nice. There's no cars, and it's a pretty flat loop, really. But yeah, I put the Benespeed Skies on. I actually liked them on this loop. It felt really stable to me. And at the pace I was going, they felt good. I know you said, Brady, you didn't like them at the slower pace, but to me they felt fine.
I've got different shoe moose.
Oh, you got the edge.
I've got the edge, yeah.
Sorry. Yep. So yeah, this was okay. So my laps, the paces that I did, I kind of eased into it. The laps were 3:34, 3:30, 3:24, 3:25. And that my heart rate was quite good for each 5-minute interval. So 151, 163, 166, 168 averages. And my threshold, I still think, is around 170 to 175, something in that area. So I was actually happy with how this workout went, and I think I'm getting fitter. Like, it's starting to feel like that. I had Thursday off running. Just thought I'd done a few consecutive days in a row by then, so I thought let's take a rest day. Not because I didn't feel good, just like planned one. Then Friday had a jog again in the morning, ran over this big hill, solid area. Saturday did a little workout. It was 10 by minute hard, minute easy. It's a pretty good one when you're coming back. I like this workout because you can just run to feel. You don't have a track where you're looking at splits or anything, and you can jog your 1 minutes, or you can float them if you're feeling like it. So it didn't, like, no pressure on them. Again, worked into it. So felt like I'm old man things. Paces started out was 3:21 for the first rep, and then it got down to everything else was under 3:10, but it got down to sort of more like 3:05 or lower towards the end. And yeah, again, felt better. So like, I'm starting to feel like I can get through workouts confidently, and like the paces are coming down. I'm recovering better in between intervals. And so, like, just some good signs coming. And then Sunday morning, I got out with the group. So this was my first, like, I'm going to call it a long run because it was nearly an hour of running, and I just don't run that long at once, like outside of workouts where they're all combined. But so an hour with the group, we went up the hills. Good little group, a few boys training for Melbourne Marathon now, and then we also had the Geelong cross country chat, so they're up and about. Got a few new recruits from this run as well. So 60k, I think it was, all up. If you piss off that bloody bike ride, 60k, yeah. So biggest week I've had. Next week I'm going to try to keep it at around 50 to 60. So I'm not going to increase it. I'm going to sit around here for a month, see how it feels, and then I might increase if all going well.
Yeah, we've raced this weekend.
Yes, Bundoora.
Up and about today on your Strava, getting the old photos up. I like that.
Oh, that was a good one, wasn't it?
What year was that?
Oh, shit. I reckon 2014, I reckon.
Okay. What position were you sprinting off for with
Mate,
Mattress?
that was... I got 9th. Oh, no, I got 10th that day, I reckon, and Mattress was 11th. So it was a decent... It was actually... I knew it was top 10. And as, like, we battled over the last probably 3K together. He'd go ahead, I'd pass him, and then we got to the end and he was in front of me coming on that last turn, and I pulled up beside him and I'm like, that's 10th place in front of me, I'd need to finish. But he wouldn't go away. You know when you pass someone in the finish straight normally your momentum carries you forward and like you've got it.
Great photo.
This
Yeah.
bloke just
He's
held
probably
on.
thinking, I don't want to get beaten by this ex-footy player guy that's wearing the baggy shorts and the long socks.
I look like a dickhead, but he did get beaten by me. We covered him.
So what do you reckon? You got 10th, he got 9th.
Yeah, I think no. I got 10th. I got 10th. He got 11th. I reckon. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, it's pretty funny because everyone was like, "Why are these blokes trying so hard? The race is over."
That's what it's like, though.
It is what it's like. That's right. I mean, I cared about top 10 that day, and then I cared about beating Mattress for some reason.
I'm gonna have to look up some old results, Croak, see if I was there that day.
Oh, you'd be behind us, I reckon.
I think I finished 9th as well one year, I reckon, at Bundoora. That's the highest I've been.
Geez, maybe it was that year.
No, it wasn't that year because the person in 10th was Nick Whiteman. We came in together.
Oh, you beat Nick.
10th. Yeah, it's about the only time in my life I ever beat him, I reckon.
At cross country, he was good at that. Gee.
This was before
Hey, you know
he
who's
got
coming
good,
back to
this
race
was
cross country?
2013. Who's coming back?
For Geelong?
Nick Whiteman.
Nick Whiteman.
When's he coming back?
I think he'll be maybe Albert Park.
Is he the same Nick Whiteman of old, though?
Nice.
Did he come back for a few fun runs and he just wasn't the same as he used to be, dominant over the cross country?
Still wins that beach race every year down in Ocean Grove, mate.
Okay.
He gets up for that.
That's good. Yeah, he's coming. Recruits midway through the season's an interesting move. I like it, though.
Well, it needed, like...
Folks paying that red and half the season's gone. That's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, no, it takes a little bit of convincing that. But we're doing well with it. Like, people are up and about. They see what's happening. They're feeling the vibe, see the future of Geelong.
Get on the team. Yep, I like it. I'll tell you about my week, eh? I kicked things off Monday. I just did 50 minutes in the morning at 4:47s. Wasn't quite right. A bit tired, a bit sick. Had a bit of a fever that night before, like waking up in the hot sweats and stuff like that. 1 minute you're freezing, the next minute you're too hot. And I had this sore shoulder, which the best way to explain it would be like I have a stitch like behind my shoulder blade. And I had it on the Sunday, and I just thought it's because I'd eaten something before my run. And then like in the first couple of steps on Monday morning, it just come on straight away as well. And it just like hurt when I was swinging my arms and stuff, my left arm, which made the run pretty miserable. It wasn't a good run at all. So I decided to have the Monday night off, and then on the Tuesday I booked in to see like my masseuse. Tuesday morning I did get out for 70 minutes in the morning, and that shoulder wasn't too bad, but I went to my masseuse after that, and he just I was kind of on the table for an hour, and he worked me pretty well. He's pretty good, and I have to go more often because the minute I got on the table and he started like playing around my hips, my back and stuff, he's like, "Have you raced recently? You don't really like look like you're nice and straight here like you kind of usually do." And I was like, yeah, explained to him that I had a few races recently, and he, it was a pretty painful hour, but I felt so much better walking out of there when he was finished, and then no like shoulder issues from that. So he kind of worked. I don't know, like how is that a running injury, boys? Shoulder injury? The only thing I could think about was when I finished Sandown, I had a bit of a coughing fit. And like, you know, when you like throw your body around when you're coughing, I reckon I done something up in my shoulder. I don't know what it was.
You swing your arms a lot when you run, like everybody does. And it wouldn't be
it's not
uncommon.
until I saw that you realise how much you swing your arms.
Yeah, like I used to cramp in the marathon in that back area from so much
really
arm swinging. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't think, like I didn't want to even try doing any intensity because I'm like, if this hurts me jogging at 450 pace, I can't imagine what it's going to be like if I'm trying to get quicker. But luckily he got in there, loosened it all up, and felt much better. So I moved my workout to the Wednesday because Tuesday I wasn't confident that I was going to be okay. Similar workout to you, Moose, 5 minute efforts, 5x5 I did at about 3:12 pace, off 90 seconds jog. Really cold morning, felt like 0, it said on the old Strava weather description, but got it done. I like that workout because 5 efforts, like 5 reps is pretty manageable, like just easy to tick off, and 5 minutes don't seem to go that long, and the pace I'm going is pretty cruisy. So all up that was 9.2k at 3:23s. Got out for 7k in the afternoon after work. Thursday medium long run, got out for an hour 50 at 4:17s. So that was 25.5k, and then 7k in the afternoon. And then I went easy again Friday, so 70 minutes in the morning and then 7K in the afternoon. Then my second workout of the week was just some 2-minute efforts. I did 8 of them off a minute jog, kind of hovering around that 3-minute pace. Was in the ASICS Meta Speed Edge, which I'm liking at that pace. It still feels, we'll talk about it more next week when we compare the two and review them, but it still feels more like a lightweight racing flat with a bit of cushion compared to a super shoe. It doesn't feel super shoey to me. Like, it just feels like a bit more cushion than a streak. So it's good at that pace, and I feel like I have to work a bit harder and be on my toes a bit more to get some stuff out of it. So hopefully when I'm back in spikes this week for cross country, it's not such a big transition from the super shoe down to the spikes. 7K in the afternoon on the Saturday night after watching the Magpies win again. Moose, you would have been happy to see Collingwood win their 8th game in a row against the Adelaide Crows. That was good Saturday afternoon.
You know what I'm enjoying watching?
We're up and about, aren't we, the Pies?
The umpires starting to deliver punishment for the blokes that drop their shoulders.
Oh, mate, how about there's a few people in your club in particular, the Geelong Cats, who have been celebrated for years for like their bravery, for doing exactly the same thing. And then there's this young kid who just does the same thing after watching some of those blokes for years.
Very different, I reckon.
The AFL's got to do something about it, I think. You can't just go target umpiring one guy completely different. Listeners.
All right, we'll move on.
We'll move on. But if the listeners, overseas listeners, this was Scott Pendlebury, probably the modern game's greatest player of all time. He played his 350th game, which is pretty amazing when you think about 350 games of that high level of footy. Imagine like getting smashed like for 25 weeks of the year and doing it for that long. Like, I complain when I got a race 5 times in 5 weeks, and I don't even get hit. A few blokes probably want to hit me, but they can't when we're out there racing. Anyway, I think that's pretty impressive. Then Sunday, I got out for, this one. I got lost, so I went out solo. All the boys were, Glenn was in Bendigo, Archie's just coming back, Nath's still at home in Cobram. So I got out solo, had this like track I was going to do. The plan was to follow this road out for 15k, turn right, hit the river, run back along the river, peel back out onto the main road, have about 8k to get home again once I hit the main road. Apart from I missed the turn at about 15k, took a turn instead about 16.5k, went in the wrong direction, got lost in the middle of the bush. And this was like a dense bush too, where you're just like on this little road, can't see anywhere. Finally got myself out of the bush, and then realised at about 23k that I still had about 15k to go, which made my 2 hour 20 long run into 2 hours 40, and I ended up covering 38.1k. Felt amazing the whole way though. Averaged 4:13s and felt pretty good, but not the plan. But still good to get a long one in, because I haven't gone that far probably since pre-Melbourne Marathon last October, November, building up for the December one. So a bit of an amateur move there, not looking at the map properly, and discovered a few new paths that I didn't want to discover. And that week was about 173k, and we're going to Bundoora this week to race again, Moose.
We are.
That's it.
We'll be there.
So it should be good. So looking forward to having a race there. But anyway, just a little good to be home, good maintenance week. Finished Stranger Things, Croak. Should be happy with that. Yep. That was pretty good to finish that during the week. Just get back in a routine. School was back. Really enjoyed this week of running and life and just getting everything settled. I like being at home. Homebody.
Same. I'm very much a homebody.
Yeah, that Gold Coast trip, that threw me a bit. Anyway, let's talk about some real runners after we thank our Patreon supporters who are real runners as well. These guys are legend. We're going to 3 different countries today as well, boys. So you want to kick things off, Croaks?
Yeah, I'm off
Take us to Germany.
Chris Eidhoff from Germany. He lives in Fürstenberg/Havel. Got some pretty good PBs, 32:49 for 10K, 73 for the half, and 2:36 for the marathon. He's got a beard and was once running in cold weather that had iced up on him. He's run Berlin Marathon and has some good training consistency on Strava, and also looks a bit like Ollie Hoare at first glance. So thanks for your support, Chris, and all the best for Berlin Marathon this year if you've got an entry and you're doing it.
Looks a bit like a academic version of Ollie Hoare. Like if Ollie Hoare was like a university lecturer and had like those circle glasses.
Yeah.
He looked like a real smart version.
I wonder if he's balding on top like Ollie Hoare is.
I did notice that on some of the...
Not good look for Ollie Hoare.
I did notice a bit of that in the coverage.
I noticed his training partner Joe Klecker's got the same thing going on, so I'm not sure what it is about Dathan's training.
Isn't it a snapback thing when you wear hats too much, Strokes?
I don't know. I'm fine on top.
You're all right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
That's a wives' tale, I'm sure. That's what your mum used to tell you to get you to take your hat off.
Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Moose, who are you thinking? Take us to London?
London, yeah. From the Victoria Park Harriers, Sam Duggan. He is a mid-pack. Well, I'm not.
This is according to him.
Yeah. That's rough by you, Brady.
I copied it straight from his bio.
He's a 2:44 marathoner. He's aiming to go 2:30 something in 2022-23. He's run 16:34 for a 5K and 76:41 in the Vitality Big Half. Oh, is that the one Stewie did that time?
No, he did like the Great
North Run.
Yeah, Great North Run.
This is the one that Mo Farah, I think Jake Smith won it last year. Bakili used to do it a bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was the 10K. I don't know. Bakili maybe he was doing it. Could be a head of account manager as well.
Okay.
That's his right LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mark or Sam, for your support. Yeah. I am going to thank, my one is Steve McFarland from Copenhagen in Denmark. He's ran 17:25 for 5K, a 35:31 for 10K, 1:19 for the half, and a 3:01.43 seconds at the Copenhagen Marathon. That was a 2-minute PB on the day. Maybe has 2 kids, maybe a part of the Sparta Athletics Club. A few tattoos on him as well. Going with the Jakob Ingebrigtsen, with the random ones just dotted around. I reckon he had like a triangle on one of his biceps, something like that, when I looked at his photo the other day. So there's a bit going on with those 3 international Patreon supporters this week. Steve, Chris and Sam, massive thank you to you 3 and all the patrons over there. Keep the lights on at the Inside Run podcast. Keep us accountable. Keep us rocking up every Monday night so we can bring the show to you. We really do appreciate your support to help us talk about running and cover the sport, what's been happening in the week. Let's go to World Champs now, boys.
Let's do it.
What are your vibes early days? You've been enjoying it. You've been enjoying their coverage. It's been really accessible. I've enjoyed that part of things. Do you like the vibe? Tell me just if like your first summary of the whole games or World Champs.
Croaks, it's you. You tell us.
I've been loving the coverage because originally I thought I was going to be watching SBS Demand, which would have been fine, but then I found out that BN Sports Channel on Foxtel. So I've been able to record all of that. I think my takeaway is just how cutthroat it is. Like I know we'll talk about it a bit later, but like I had Ollie Hoare as a shoe-in for the final, and for him to miss it just goes to show that if you have an off day at that sort of level, you're going to be shown up, and you're not going to get the result that you wanted.
Yeah, Moose, first impressions before we go to the results.
Yeah, I thought a similar thing to Brad. I was watching the steeples, and I'm like, there are no pretenders here. This is different. This is different to Diamond Leagues as well, because there's so many more people, and you've got the top from each country. It's not who you know to get into the race. And I was just going, there's nowhere to hide either. Like, we are watching on TV. We're watching everybody on the track. The results are popping up. It's brutal.
I think as well, Moose, like the qualification standards over the last 5 years have become brutal for the distance events. So that makes it that way. Like back in the day, when, say, for the 1500, it was 340 or 339 to qualify. Like now it's 334, 335. So, if you do have a bad day, you are going to almost finish last because, you're racing against all of these 335 runners.
Yeah. Yeah. The standard's amazing.
It is. Stadium's not real full. Have you noticed that? A lot of green seats there. I thought they would have been fuller over there.
Why do you reckon that is? Because I went to 2003 World Champs, and it was in Paris, and it was at Stade de France, like their major stadium, and it was packed. Like every night of the athletics, like there wasn't an empty seat. So is it just that athletics is bigger in Europe than it is in the US?
I think the afternoon,
what's the stadium
session's
called?
quiet, but the evenings have been real busy from what I've seen.
Stadium only holds 12,900.
Yeah, the evening session was busy. I saw it. The stadium was nearly full when I was watching.
What, today?
The finals. I think it was well, what was it? What was I watching? That was wasn't today. It was yesterday.
Oh, I've seen a couple 70-80% looks full, but I haven't looked into the crowd once and seen full seats.
There's still a lot of seats. I did notice that. But, yeah, I'm not sure exactly. It's not like it's crazy hot or anything. Like it's warm, but it's not crazy.
Dave Tarbottom sent me, did he send it to you guys as well, a big email about all the world championships?
No.
Media, it's good, I'll forward on to you. And I didn't realise the prize money was so good. $70,000 for win, 35 for second, 22,000 for third. Pays all the way down the top 8, so I guess you're making a final. 5th for 8th, that's a pretty good result, and you only get $5,000.
It's well, you say it's good. Imagine being the fastest man or woman in the world over 100 metres, glory event, right? And only winning $70,000.
$70,000 for 10 seconds.
No. Do you know how much these blokes are getting offered out of college to go and play wide receiver or something in the in the NFL?
Yeah.
And you look at the marathon, you win a major city marathon and you're winning 150,000 plus your appearance money. Still not quite as good, but what I like
there's no weak events either, is there? They're all loaded. I actually never knew what the money was before. That's probably why I brought it up. If you break the world record, you get 100,000.
Yeah,
that's not going to. That's
on
hard
top,
to do.
On top of the 70,000.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. It's good.
Bonus. Who's the pole vaulter? He just knocks off another centimetre every time he jumps, doesn't he? Just to keep getting the bonuses.
That's so clever, isn't it?
Duplantis or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just has 7 world records a year. Just chipping away at them. Let's go to the men's steeple, boys. This was the first thing that came across our TV screens. This was Saturday morning, wasn't it? The heats, it was cutthroat. No semis for the steeple, so they run heats straight to the final. We saw Ben Buckingham was in the first one. He finished 9th in a time of 8:29.1. And then Ed Trippus was 6th in the second heat. He ran 8:23.8. Missed the final by 1 place, Ed did. Second best ever place by an Australian at the World Champs. Second fastest time ever by an Australian at the World Champs. And at the Olympics World Champs in the last half century, only Yusuf Abdi and Sean Crichton have been better. Thoughts on this?
Well, you go, Moose.
I thought they actually ran quite similar until maybe the last 4 to 5 laps. They were both in the same position in the packs, and they were doing their best to hold on, and then Ed just managed to hold on for a lot longer. And he got to a point where he was threatening to move up, but Ben wasn't. Ben sort of fell away, lost 6 seconds in those sort of 4 or 5 laps or whatever. And yeah, 8:29 is decent time at the championships, and especially the way Ben's heat went, where it was slow, fast, and then really fast. Like that. That's not an optimal way to run fast times, and that's where the class athletes can really step up. And I mean, not that Ben isn't a class athlete, but he's not that class. So you're never going to be able to close like those guys, and you'll get left behind like you did.
Yeah, not a huge amount off his PB. His PB is 8:19. So in a race that's not set up for PBs to be 10 seconds off it. That's a good effort. And he'd had he kind of was just getting it right at the right time, Bucks, wasn't he? He didn't have a great start to the season, the European season, and I think he'll be pleasantly pleased with that performance considering where he was at probably 6-8 weeks ago. You're right about Ed though, and it's a perfect example when you watch both those heats how big the big dogs are when they want to move.
Yeah.
When the race gets sorted out with a K to go, it very quickly becomes who's going to the final and who's not making up the numbers because it's World Championships, but who's working really hard to maybe knock on the door of a PB.
Yeah, exactly. They don't let it turn into a last lap, do they? It goes, and it goes early, and they don't need to keep pushing either. As soon as they find themselves out, then it's it just breaks everybody.
But it's like they just flick a switch, isn't it? Like in the space of 100 metres, the race just is blown apart.
Yeah.
And that final, I think it's on tomorrow, so we're recording Monday night. I think Tuesday during the day, Australian time, is going to be a great final. I think there's some big hitters in that final there. Tell us about the women's steeple, Moose. You watch it. This is the one race I haven't got around to watching yet. The women's steeple.
I watched these as well. Brielle Urbacher was out in heat 1. She was 11th in 9:40. So again, similar to sort of Barks in that she got it in the right spot, but then once the pace got going, the pack moved on. And she's only really young, so that's great experience for her. Amy Cashin really impressed me, actually. She ran 9:21 in heat 2, which, although she was 8th in the heat, like she was 19 seconds faster than Brielle from heat 1. And so she ran a 6-second PB. It moved her to 4th all time. And what I really liked about Amy was how gritty she was, because every time she went over a water jump, she was landing like double-legged instead of all the girls around her that kind of landed on one leg and kept their momentum going, whereas she would go over the water jump and like get a real handbrake and get jolted backwards almost and then have to start up again. And so you could see what was happening is every lap she would lose all her momentum and then have to put in like a big surge to get back to where she was. And what she was actually doing was she would surge around those people again and get back. And then it's almost like, her steeple technique was kind of at the water was sort of holding her back a little bit. So I think that she has a massive future just based off how much harder it was for her in that race than the others around her.
Yeah, a massive PB, 6-second PB. She moves to 4th all time on the Australian rankings.
Did you see that, Croaks, that race?
Yeah, I did. Like if I was comparing, so I would have put her race similar to Ed in that she was always in the right spot, and you sense that, Ben fell away, Brielle fell away, and Cara also fell away. Like in the last third of the race, like Amy was still there fighting, and so and looked quite strong. So I think she will, definitely be one to watch over the next couple of years. Whereas, Brielle and Cara, I think it was a really good sort of learning experience for those two this time around.
Yeah, so Cara Fien Ryan was 11th in heat 3, 9:43, and so similar to Brielle, is that like it's just a harsh environment that.
Yeah.
So Amy was 2 spots and only 0.4 off qualifying. So, it's pretty close, but again, big future there.
Bit like Ed, hey, just missed sneaking in there.
Yeah. But, hey, like to PB at a major championship, like you can't ask for any more than that. So,
and 6 seconds, over 3K. That's a big PB.
And 4th all-time Australian now. So, that, and she's so young, like that Aussie record's in danger, I reckon.
Yeah, and you know what? She went to the Olympics, but this is their 2nd major championship. And then you look at Cara and Brielle, that's just time they're putting in, isn't it? That's going to be such a valuable experience for both of them.
Definitely.
Future's bright for women's steeplechase.
Peaks and Trails event already has well over 170 entrants with fantastic cash prizes on offer across all distances. On the Saturday, there is a warm-up event with the Mud Dud Jug Challenge up Mount Abrupt. It's a 6.2 kilometre dash to the summit and back, gaining 430 metres of elevation. Then on Sunday is the main event, kicking off at 6:45 a.m. with 50, 20, 13.5 and 6.4 kilometre distances, all starting and finishing in the picturesque township of Dunkeld. Whatever your distance, celebrate the 2022 event as it takes you on all new trails encompassing recently opened sections of Garryword, showcasing the best the Grampians has to offer.
It really is a showcase of the southern end of Garryword. Having competed a number of times, I love seeing the community members out on the trails volunteering their time as marshals. Their encouragement and enthusiasm is the boost you need in the hard moments. To enter, visit Peaks and Trails on Instagram, Facebook or the website. The biggest decision is what distance you're going to do. We also have a competition running. check out the socials for details.
Let's go to the women's 1500. So the heats have happened, the semi-finals happened, the finals tomorrow. I thought all three Australian ladies looked fantastic in the heats. Jess Hull, Linden Hall and Georgia Griffith. Remind me, I've just got it open now. Did they win? Did Jess win her heat? I'm getting heats and semi-finals confused. You guys remember off the top of your head? Georgia was third in her heat. She ran 4:07. She went off first. Jess Hull was second. Faith Kipyegon, yeah, that's right, in 4:04. And then Linden in her heat was third in 4:03. So we got three through the semis. Then the semi-finals happened. This was exciting, boys, because we were thinking, there's a potential chance that we can get all three through. Tactically, Jess Hull was amazing again. She finished third in her race, 4:01.8. She got a big qualifier. Linden in that same race, though, she was ninth in 4:04.85. And then Heat 2 rolled around, which is obviously a massive advantage when you've got small queues. So what was it? The first five were guaranteed, and then they took the next two fastest. However, they didn't make that one quicker. So Georgia was fourth and got through as an automatic qualifier, and they just took the first five from that one. She ran 4:05.1. Pretty good tactically again, I thought, Georgia. And that shows Georgia and Jess are both through to the final tomorrow. Exciting times, boys. Linden would have to be a bit disappointed with that. It must be hard being an Olympic finalist and then going to your next championship and not making through to the final. But as you said, Croaks, it's so cutthroat.
Yeah, and she was leading the semi there for a while.
She led it and slowed it down, though. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and I think, though, the 1500, it really comes down to, that last 300, you've either got it, or if you're having a bad day, you just don't have the legs. And you could see that she just sort of was, getting filtered back through the field. But Jess, tactically, she's so good. And, it's going to be hard for her to win a medal just based on, the field. But that she's going to definitely be putting herself in the right position to maximise her result in the final tomorrow. And Georgia as well, obviously about our chat last week with the whole selection thing, she's done everything that you could ask for in terms, and definitely deserves a spot there. She was real gutsy, because I reckon with 200 to go, I'm like, it's going to be touch and go here as to whether she gets swamped by the rest. But she hung really tough in that last 150. Yeah,
and I don't think our conversation last week was about no one not deserving to go. It was more about the selection policy being confusing.
Yeah. But you still, but you still got to wonder, that's still got to play on athletes' minds a little bit. Don't you reckon?
Well, she was the one in the conversation more than Linden and Jess after what they did at the Olympics, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So you still, you still got to play in the back of your head a little bit. So, but she's run so well up until now.
Moose, give me a prediction for the final. What's going to happen? It's loaded.
Yeah.
Could be the race to the championships, I reckon, this one.
I think
Faith Kipyegon, big favourite though.
Jess Hull has been very aggressive in her racing, and I really like it. She's been going to the front or to the second or third spot in both her races, and I think that's it's just shown so much confidence, and that they're not there to fuck around or make up the numbers. They're there to stay out of trouble, be at the front, and not earn their place in the final, but almost demand their place in the final. Because that's where they belong. So I thought all three girls, it's almost like there's been a bit of direction in the athletes. From, I don't know, they just seem to be running a little differently in the men's 15s as well. It was the same type of race plan, from the blokes. I know they all wouldn't have had the same direction because they all have different coaches, but it was just great to see Australian uniforms at the front of the pack instead of sitting off the back and just hoping to hang on.
Yeah, well, it's the expectation for viewers now, isn't it? If you follow the sport, you expect those guys to have a crack and mostly make it through.
Yeah, well, most girls. Of them did really throughout the heats, and the we got 5 out of 6 through the heats, and then
I know what you mean though. There was that Gregson got through at Rio 2016, and I'm trying to think who It's a good question. Luke Matthews would know off the top of his head. What finalists had we had at World Championships or Olympics in the 1500 before that?
I think it was ages ago. It was a long time.
I know Olympics it was when Gregson made it. That was a huge gap. But yeah, you're right. We've got used to expecting no one making it through, and now it's just like the expectation that you mostly make it through.
Yeah. The standard in the world is higher, but it's also the standard. The standard in Australia is just phenomenal right now. But yeah, I think. Look, I don't know how it will play out, but I see Jess. I just see Jess Hull going to the front, making a real play of it, and Georgia. I mean, she doesn't have the experience, maybe doesn't have the credentials to be up challenging for a place in the final. But it would be great to see her sort of get in that maybe like top 8. That would be a big result for her.
I feel like it's a free swing for Georgia, really. Like, I think she's, to be in the finals is an amazing, achievement as it is. So she's got nothing to lose, basically. Whereas I think Jess goes in with probably a bit more pressure. I think she would love to medal. But if she can't medal, then I reckon top 5 sort of thing. That's probably where she's hunting.
Yeah.
Top 5 with a bit of luck, maybe Croaks.
Yeah, because you're looking at, you got Kipyegon, Sege, Muir, they're going to be hard to beat. So they're probably my top 3. And that Sinclair Johnson's been running really well for the US. So
it's her trainer partner. I reckon she'll have her measure though.
Yeah. It's going to be a good race.
It's going to be good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that one tomorrow. Let's move on to the men's 1500. So we saw Ollie and Stewie win both their heats. They both looked really good. As you said, that commanding kind of front running. I thought when Ollie had to push the button and kind of make some moves with 150, 180 metres to go, he looked super smooth. Matt Ramsden was the other one there. He didn't make it through the heats. He was 9th in his heat in 3:39.8. Same thing again, and I'm not sure if I've seen this at a championship in a while, where the third heat usually knows what time they've got to run, so they get the little Q qualifiers, and they didn't. They needed to run 3:36.4 to get the extra people through the heat, and it was a slower one, and they just took the first, however many it was in the heats, 5, I think it was 6, then 5 for the semis. Matty Ramsden looked a bit out of place, arms and legs going everywhere, kind of head wobbling a bit. But experience would be good for him as well. Ben, I thought, Ollie and Julian were great in the heats, which saw them into the semis today. Any comments about Ramsden there before I go to the semis, boys?
No,
or Julie or Ollie?
I think that's the way Ramsden runs, arms and legs sort of everywhere. He was definitely in the mix for a lot of it, just not when it counted at the end. But let's move on to the semis. I reckon that was the shock for me today.
That was. I was on yard duty and my phone was just lighting up. I thought the race was at 12:30 and just clocking off yard duty and then getting a stack of messages. So Ollie Hall went in the first one. People talking medals. He's been dominating the Diamond Leagues, finishing just behind Jakob, looked amazing in the heat. But disappointingly, I guess, for us as Australian fans and probably himself, he finished 10th in 3:38.3. We'll go with that race first before we talk about Stewie in the second one. It looked messy. He got checked with 2 laps to go and looked like he got kind of flung back in the pack a bit, spent some energy getting back to the front, and then the race was on with 100 metres to go, and he got blown out the back, I guess, is the best way to summarise it.
For me, the writing was on the wall when they came through with 2 to go. I don't know how bad, because Ollie's the type of guy that will get up into first or second and sit there basically right until 200 to go and then just cover all the moves. And when he just got filtered back with 2 laps to go, and they went through, I think the second lap was only a 61. So it wasn't even that quick. And I thought, this is not what Ollie does. And then the fact that he got filtered back through the field, he then rallied for the next probably 600 metres to get himself into a decent position. But I think he just used too much gas in that 600 to try and get himself back into a position that he had nothing left for that last 200.
Spent a lot of time in lane 2 and nearly lane 3 there too, wasn't he? Trying to get around there.
But I had him in the final. I had him as a lock in the final.
Yeah, I thought it was a medal chance. I thought genuine. But it's different racing, isn't it? It's not Diamond League where the gun goes and the rabbit goes and Jakob goes as well and you just hang on for as long as possible in like a 10-man field. These are the best guys in the world. And in that last 100 metres, there were some guys who really showed some amazing kick finishes and closed super hard.
And there's also the variables of a major championship where, you go to a Diamond League and it's a one-off race and then you have a week to recover.
Yeah,
so,
he's done this 24 hours earlier, hasn't
he? And some people can do that better than others. So I'm not sure. I reckon there's something going on with Ollie, though, because that was just out of character for him. So I don't know whether he was a bit sick or niggle or what, but I was definitely shocked when I watched it.
Yeah, he seemed pretty confident in some of the interviews he did. Like he didn't explain anything after the heat. Moose, any comments there about Ollie before we get to Stewie?
Yeah, it was like unexpected when I saw it happen, and you could see he hit the straight, and all of a sudden you're like, why isn't he running faster now? And then once you got 8 blokes around you, it's like, oh, I can't. Like it was done, and I think there's a big fail for Ollie. Like we got to be real about it. He was one of the favourites going in, and he hasn't made the final. Like this is where athletics tends to be quite soft on the athletes, I think. Like the athletics community goes, oh, well, great job, you made the semi, whatever. Good experience. But when you start to become the favourite, like if this was a Kenyan right now, we'd be going, that's no good. He'd be going home very unhappy and there'd be questions asked. Like, do you agree this was a pretty well, it's a failure, really.
Oh, and Ollie would be the first to admit that. Like he would be pissed right now. Like he would have expected to be in the final.
Yeah.
I think it's the same as Linden though. When you make it the year before an Olympic final, it's like anything less than making the final is a failure.
Like when you're pushing the Olympic champion in a mile, like a couple of weeks beforehand, and leaving the rest of the field for dead. Like I would have been going into these championships thinking I was making the final if I was Ollie, based on what he'd been doing this season.
And then, so you like outside of illness or injury, you've got to sit down and go, what did we do that we should have? Like, did we do something wrong here? Did we not do enough of one thing? Did we do too much of another thing? Where was the failure in preparation where I couldn't pull this off? Where I've been able to do it pretty much every race I've shown up to beforehand.
And that's why it'd be good to hear an interview to see, like, to find out, was he sick? Because it just
you can't be. Oh yes, you can get sick, I guess, in 24 hours. But how he looked on the heat to the final,
it
looked completely different. What do you put it down to, Moose?
No, I don't know.
You coached Ali Pashley, Olympian.
Because
you could have a serious conversation. You could say, like, you could use the Diamond League as an example of that's one style of racing, and maybe he's done too much of that style of racing.
No, I think he's a good.
You don't think it's
I think he's a good racer.
So do I. Yeah, NCAA stuff is done.
And you saw him at the Olympics. He was a good racer until, like, obviously the final was a bit tougher. But he's, when he shows up, he can race. So I don't think it's a tactical thing. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to pretend to know either.
Did you guys think that the first semi was way more stacked than the second?
Yeah. It had the Olympic gold medalist, silver medalist, bronze medalist, and the world indoor champion.
Yeah.
He beat the Olympic gold medalist. That's 4 right there.
But I guess they don't look at that, or do they, or do they just look at what happened in the heats?
I think it goes to the information from the heats.
Yeah. So, because it was, and I guess that's why they, but realistically, if you're going to challenge in the final, you should be able to finish top 5 in your semi, regardless of who's in it.
Yeah, we're going to see him in 48 hours later anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did you watch Josh Kerr's race? In the same, did you? I watched it about 3 times. The first 2 I only watched Ollie, and then the third time I watched Josh Kerr.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't pay too much attention. I didn't rewind it and watch it either.
Dangerous. When Ollie gets filtered back at 2 laps to go, he lands kind of like right near Josh Kerr, and then Josh Kerr just stays there on the rail, boxed in 4 deep. And he literally does nothing until there's about 70 metres to go, and he just zigzags through about 5 guys, hits the front. He looks good for the final, boys, but let's talk about the semi-final number 2. That was where Stewie went to the front. as Stewie tends to do. He finished 5th in the end. He was pretty commanding. I think he ran a couple of 56s, 57s in there. He made sure it was fast. A few guys went past him in the straight, but he was easing up. He was making sure he was top 5. He got the big Q. He ran 3:35.07. The King of King Island is back. He's in another major final.
Do you reckon he was easing up? I reckon he was tying up.
You reckon he was tying up?
I reckon
you guys have been off the Stewie bandwagon the last couple of days.
Look, I hope I'm wrong, but I felt like with 200 to go that Stewie, like, it was pretty much a race, like an all-out race for Stewie.
With 200 to go.
Well, like in the last part of the race, I felt like he was tying up more than backing off.
I thought with 1200 to go, when he was going super hard, I'm just like, oh, this is him pushing the envelope.
So, look, at the end of the day, like, he's in the final, and you don't want to run conservative in the semis and miss the final. So good on him for being there, but I just felt like it was a pretty hard effort for Stewie.
Yeah, I still don't think he's fully 100%. Whether it's his body, I think there's like, he looks a little proppy to me, especially at the end of that race. And I know it's probably because he just ran through like 1,200 meters very, very fast. He still ran 3:35, and that was with a slow last 100 meters. So he was probably going through in a 3:31 pace maybe. But yeah, he was all out. I agree, Brad. I don't think he was conserving anything at the end.
Yeah.
And you could tell by the runners around him through the last sort of 100 meters, those guys were actually conserving, but still looking pretty poppy, a lot of forward momentum, whereas he started to go up and down and move backwards. And it was, but you've got to give kudos to him. He makes the race, and he gives himself the absolute best shot to be in the final. So you've got Ollie Hoare, who missed the final, who's sitting at home going, maybe I wish I did something different. But Stewie's not doing that. Stewie's sitting at home going, fuck yeah, I'm in the final. And you kind of race. He's racing to be in the final. He's making sure of it. There is no questions that man's going to be in the final by the way he races.
Yeah.
And so you've got to give him credit for that, even if it might come to his detriment in the last sort of 400 meters of the 1500 final, whenever that is. Like, that's probably, like, he's still in the final. That's what he's racing for.
And the good thing is because he was in the second semi, like, he knew that if he time trialled it, he could finish top 7 and make it through. And and at that pace, it's going to be hard for 8 guys to beat him.
Everyone else in that race just must look and go, fuck, Stewie's in my heat. We're going fast.
Yeah.
This is going to be a drawn-out, single-file, like, hard from the gun race. Ain't no sitting and kicking in a Stewie McSween race.
Very lightly raced too, Stewie. Like, we've only seen that 3K from him recently, after the COVID or the vaccination or whatever that was that saw him out for the majority of the European season.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Maybe just getting fitter with every race, boys. He used to race, in history has raced a lot leading to championships, whereas this year...
Yeah, and they get a day off as well. They get a day off before the final.
Yeah, they go Wednesday, don't they? Midday, something Wednesday?
Yeah. So that could help.
That could help. Any predictions? Give me who's your first, second, third there.
I got to go my training partner, Ingebrigtsen.
Your brother-in-law.
Like, did you see how easy? Like, he was dead last, and then he's just like, I'll just roll around into lane 3 on the bend to get to the front, and yeah. But that being said, there's a couple of guys that I reckon have upped their game since the Olympics. Like, Josh Kerr has looked good. Jake Whiteman.
Yeah. I like both those guys. What about the Kenyans? Kipsang looked good. He looked like he was doing a workout. Yeah.
Look, it's one of the most exciting events, I reckon, at the moment, the men's 1500. Like, it's just so much depth, and it's so global as well.
What do you think is going to happen in the race? Do you think it's going to be Jakob to the front or Cherry? Cherry hasn't been doing a lot of front running like we usually see him doing.
Yeah, so...
Because Stewie's doing that. Will Stewie go to the front?
It won't be slow. Like, Ingebrigtsen will want it. He'll want to grind them into the ground, rather than save it for, like, a last lap kick.
He's a red hot favourite, Ingebrigtsen, $1.56.
He is so good at $1.56. He gets so good at kicking off a fast pace.
Yeah.
I think that's his jam. Kick off a fast pace.
It's got to be interesting to see what happens. Let's move on to the 10K, which was this morning. We had one Australian in there. This was, I think you were up, Moose, watching it live, 6 a.m. Croaks, you wouldn't have been up that early. You would have been recording this one, watching it later on. We were chatting to Christian from Norway whilst it was happening. Huge pack with a lap to go, 5 or 6 guys there. Cheptegei come home in 53.4 seconds to take the win. His training partner, Jacob Kiplimo, was second, and third place was the Kenyan. Let me tell you what his name was, boys, because I don't have that in my results here. Anyone remember off the top of your head? Barega was fourth, and then Grant Fisher was fifth, which was a bit of a upset not seeing, I thought, Barega in the medals, the Olympic champ.
You lost your house, didn't you? Didn't you put your house on him?
Nah, Aragawi I had my house on. He came about 7th. He was leading at the bell, though. If only they paid out when whoever's leading at the bell. Jacob Kiplino, was third, and Marubi, the Kenyan, was second. They come across, look at these times, 27, 27.4, 27, 27.9, 27, 27.97, 27, 28.1, 27, 28.3. Mo Ahmed from Canada was in there in 6th. Jack Rayner was in 19th spot in 28.24. 19 of the 24. Yeah, comments? This was a great race, but then talk about Jack.
It was a brutal race. Again, it just, like the last mile, you would not expect to see so many guys left with 200 to go after they're in the process of dropping a 4:02 mile. And that's what made it such a good way. Like the ladies was a great race too, but the men's, there were more people in the mix with 200 to go. And you, like you said, you got Barega. I had one eye on Barega, one eye on Cheptegei, and I thought these are the two that are going to bang it out. And that is disrespectful to like the amazing talent that was in that pack as well. But yeah, no, it was great to see Joshua Cheptegei. I really like him.
Because they rolled him the same way at Tokyo.
Yeah.
Because he's not known for that, like, of course, he's a world record holder, but not known for that top end, like, closing 150 metres at the end.
He's very good. I wonder if he went away that day from Tokyo and thought, I'm going to have to work on that. Like, that's something that is going to be the difference between me getting a medal or not, or a gold and a silver.
It's so hard to pick these winners though, because I think he'd only had one race this season, which was at 12:55 when he went and chased the world record at Prefontaine Classic the night before. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you're like, is he in shape? Haven't seen him for ages, and then he comes out and does that.
And it's also a cool event because you got guys like Kiplimo, who's like world record holder in the half marathon, coming down to the 10. Then you've got guys like Aragawi, who's been like killing it over 5K. He's just got that raw speed at the end. And you're just not sure how it's going to play out. But I'm always amazed at how they close in 53. The lap before that's like 60.
60, yeah.
And the majority of them before that are like 66 to 68. So it just goes to show like how comfortable these top guys must be feeling with like 3 laps to go to be able to just, close that fast.
It is. And when you watch them live, it's an experience in itself that you just feel like things are just warming up, things are boiling away, and then bam, we're just seeing them sprint down the back straight like that, 3 or 4 across the track. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Jack's run, Moose, what do you think of that?
I didn't see a lot of it really, because he was sort of off the back. About 4K maybe. It did start reasonably docile, the pace. So he. When it started to get going, I think it was Kiplimo who went to the front, and Kiplimo started to put the foot down. He went in front of Mayo from Spain, and that's when it strung out a bit more, and we started to see maybe the back sort of 10 guys drop off, and that's when Jack went. And we didn't see much of him after that. He did well. He didn't get lapped. So we didn't even see him at the very end. He'd be pretty stoked about that, I reckon. And I thought 28-24?
Yeah. Yep.
I thought that was okay. Like, I know he won't be happy with that. He's a class athlete. It's fucking minute off his best. but I thought he did really well after getting dropped, because there is a decent, like, it's very difficult to run a 10K race after getting dropped from the main pack, and you're out there by yourself slogging away, all eyes on you. It's very difficult. And so I was kind of, I think he'll be proud of himself for finishing and not stepping off when, like, on paper it would have made sense to step off and get ready for the 5.
A lot of these guys up the front, they were running 50 seconds a minute slower than their PBs. You know, they're 26:30 guys.
Yeah, well,
27:30. Like, it's
that's exactly
sometimes when you
right.
see Jack's result further down, you go, oh, geez, he's a minute off, and you go, yeah, but so are these other guys. And Jack's done it in a time trial setting, which a lot of these other guys up the top have as well.
Yeah,
I guess if he was pretty close to Joe Klecker in that Diamond League over 5K, probably a similar athlete to Joe, I reckon, in terms of ability. So Joe was like 9th in 27:38. But yeah, like, I'm no doubt, I'm sure Jack wouldn't be happy with it. But yeah, 10K is brutal.
First big 10K for him too on the international stage, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go next, boys. I think I've covered all the Australians who have been in action so far, but there was a couple of other amazing races which were there, which didn't have any Australians in them, unfortunately. The women's 10K. This was similar to the men's 10K, a big kick down. You had G'day, you had O'Beary, you had Hassan. There was one more in there as well, because Hassan was 4th. It was the Kenyan who snuck through on the inside. I'll get her name up while we're talking now. But the article says G'day now has a gold medal to go over 2 world records, as she won a super tight women's 10,000 metres, where the top 3 were separated by just 0.13 of a second. The question's asked here, though, should she be disqualified? Did you see the finish?
Oh, for running out into lane 2?
Yeah, how she pushed her wide.
Oh,
When I say push, she ran wide.
I don't know.
She didn't
Happens in a lot of, like...
It's tactics, I like it.
It's happened in the past.
Yeah, it's tactics.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I watched the race and I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, watch it again and just look where G'day is around the home bend, and then look where she finishes. O'Beary's trying to go past her on the outside, and G'day just keeps moving further and further out.
Was it not the last
run?
Yeah, the last 20 metres really. She goes from being pretty much lane 1 to like middle of lane 2.
That's just racing tactics. Get past her if you don't want that to happen to you, I reckon.
Yeah, I didn't seem dodgy at the time. It seemed like she won fair and square, but yeah, maybe I didn't have the right angle on it.
Kip Kemboy was 3rd in that race before Hassan, who was 4th. I thought Hassan in a kick finish would have had those. Same situation though as the men's. G'day gets rolled at Tokyo Olympics with the kick finish, comes out, works on a kick finish, closed in 60 to make sure she wasn't going to get out kicked this time. 30.09, 30.10, 30.10, 30.10. The first 4 ran, so pretty quick going there as well. Thoughts, boys?
Loved it. Great race to watch. Hassan though I thought was a bit... Well, no one really knew what shape she was in because she hadn't really raced a lot. And it comes down to, everyone thinks that because she's got that 1,500 metre speed, that if she's there with a lap to go, she's going to towel them all up. But it just goes to show like how much strength is required in a 10K, and it's not always the case. Like same sort of thing with Kip Limo. You're expecting like the half marathon guy to be out kicked by someone like Aragawi, and it just doesn't happen. But yeah.
Certainly. Moose, any comments there?
No, I thought Hassan spent so much time like at the back. Didn't really see her until the end, and then never really made it through to the front at all. Normally, I think she kind of just expected it to happen.
A couple of big UK results there as well, like Alicia McCoglin and Jess Judd in 10th and 11th, both running 30.34, 30.35. We often compare ourselves to the British, don't we? Australia.
I reckon McCoglin just a gun on the road, but doesn't like... She made the pace in this race. She was out the front early, and she kind of just disappeared off the front. She still held on okay. She came 10th, but I just don't feel like she's so much better on the road.
Yeah, well, she's ran 30.19 on the track and 30.19 on the road, and her half marathon's 66.26.
Yeah,
which probably converts.
Yeah, no, do you reckon? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
she just doesn't seem to get beaten on the road. But then she...
Yeah, but what race is she doing?
Yeah.
This is pretty... Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of guys I know who are 30, 20 guys who run 60, 66, 20. Don't know. I reckon that stacks up pretty well, in my opinion.
Okay.
Tell us about the marathon, though, Croaks. You watch this one?
So big pack early on, really slow to start with. I think they went through like 50 or so for the first 5K, went through halfway in like bang on 64 minutes and still a really big pack there. And then at like 35K, Tamarat Tola just went bang and just gapped the rest of the field. Ran like a 13:55 5K split from 33K to 38. And with 2K to go, he was so far in front he could have jogged it in. So he won the race in 2:05:36, which was a championship record. Took 78 seconds off Abel Karui's championship record, which he set in Berlin in 2009. Ethiopians then went 1-2. Geramu was second in 2:06:44, and Belgium's Bashir Abdi, who won the bronze at the last year's Olympics, he finished third in 2:06:48. For me though, like one of the most impressive races I thought was Cam Levin's to finish fourth, new Canadian record 2:07. He was right in the mix and ran over the top of Ken Worrell in the last couple of K.
Yeah, couldn't believe that when I saw it this morning. And fast times, pretty deep down.
Yeah, I think they went slow the first 5K, but then after that, they were then rolling 3-minute Ks for the rest of it. And so Tola's run 61:28, I think, for the second half of the race.
Jeez. Yeah. That is insane.
Yeah, it was almost like like Kipchoge, like at the Olympics when he just decides to just go bang and just gaps the field. He did a Kipchoge on the field.
That's good. Any other comments there, Moose? Bring back some memories.
No, I didn't watch it, mate. I didn't.
Jeez, he's gone from racing it, Croaks, to not even watching it.
It was on at the middle of the night, and then
could have taped it, couldn't you? Can't you do that Foxtel thing that Croaks does?
I signed up to KO. It's actually really good. I've been watching Brooklyn Summer League. But anyway, I didn't watch it, and now I know the results. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, the only spoiler I got was I watched the 10K this morning before I watched the marathon, and then they made reference to, his compatriot from Belgium won the bronze this morning in the marathon. I was like, okay, well, I know we've got bronze.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the commentary?
For what, all the events?
It's always the same guy when I turn it on.
Tim Hutchings and Mara Yamauchi, isn't it?
No, I'm on SBS.
Oh, yes, I'm on. I'm not on that one.
British guy.
Yeah,
the KO. Yeah, Tim Hutchings is British.
I've got a different one. I've got the same guy as the Foxtel one as well, though, Croaks, I reckon.
Okay.
That's not Tim Hutchins, is it?
They were for the walks.
Oh, I haven't watched any of the morning sessions or any afternoon sessions.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. It's been fine.
It's all right. Some other running news that happened over the weekend that wasn't the World Championships is Charlie Hunter. He ran a big 1,500 metre PB. He ran 3:34.3 at the Sound Running Sunset Series. So good signs for him leading up to the Commonwealth Games because he is on that team. And Jack Anstey also ran a PB. He ran a 3:36.5. And some other doping news that dropped over the weekend, Croaks. Big names.
So Kenyan marathon runner Lawrence Chirono has been temporarily suspended by the Athletics Integrity Unit. He tested positive for a banned drug, trimetazidine, which is like a heart, like people take it for like angina. So in 2019, Chirono won both the Boston and Chicago marathons, took fourth place at the Olympics last year, and he's the seventh fastest all time. And then the other athlete that's been provisionally suspended is Nigel Amos. So he was meant to run the 800 metres. He's tested positive for a banned metabolite. So he won gold at the 2014 Com Games, where Risley was fifth. So...
He beat Rhodesia that day. I looked up that result.
Yeah, and he got back into, because he's been very hot and cold since like 2012, but then just recently he was sort of getting back into decent shape again. Maybe this is why.
That's probably why. Yeah. The other bit of news, the last bit for the week in the recap, is the New South Wales Road Relay Croaks up your way. Randwick Botany had a win in the men's there.
No, I was in the women's.
Women's, is it?
Yeah, Randwick Botany won the women's.
UTS North in the men's.
Yeah. Fastest splits of the day, Holly Campbell in the women's, 12:55. So I think it's 4K leg, and Ed Goddard was the fastest for the men in 11:19.
Jeez, no love for Jenny Blundell, Olympian in second there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
16.
Yep, and Regina Jensen was third in 13:33, and second fastest for the men, Stefan Music, 11:40, and Bailey Habler third, 11:44. Oh, along with Hamish Longworth, 11:44, and Hamish Hart, also 11:44.
You got to get these right, New South Wales. We stuffed it up last time and got a lot of heat for it.
Yeah, so UTS won the men's 47:22 from Sydney Uni, 47:53, and Randwick Botany third in 48:54. Women's was Randwick Botany first, 57:09. Newcastle Flyers 57:15, and Sydney Uni third, 57:26. So pretty close race there amongst the women.
Certainly was. Listen to question, train and talk.
Yep. Do we take? There's two parts to it, I think.
Do whichever part you want.
All right. So it comes from Andrew McAvoy. I'm a long-time listener and active AV Masters runner. Love the podcast and have a couple of questions that I had been wanting to ask for a while, both separate topics. So we'll do the first one. I'm a Masters AV runner, but still take my running reasonably seriously. Despite regular racing and training, I still find that hard sessions always seem to feel hard, regardless of how fit I am. In contrast, I often hear you guys talking about how you enjoyed a particularly hard session or could have done a session again if you had to. If hard sessions always feel hard, is that a sign that runners are trying to push their body beyond what it is capable of, or do most runners feel that way? Is hard a state of mind or a physical barrier? So we'll do that question tonight.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good question, because why do we enjoy workouts when they're hard? Like, I read this the other day when it came in, and I thought, if you took someone at the 80% mark of their workout, so 80% through the workout, so they're 4/5 of the way through, and you ask them, are you really enjoying this? They're saying no. They're not enjoying that. They want it to be over by then. You ask them 5 minutes after the workout's finished, after their heart rate's down, the lactate's cleared, they compose themselves, you go, do you enjoy that? And they're like, yeah, that was good.
Because they've got the runners high by that stage, Moose.
Yeah, it's all relative to when you're asking someone if they're enjoying it or have they enjoyed it. But so I think if someone's had a good session and they've got the results they wanted, they performed how they wanted, their splits lined up to how they wanted them to, or their heart rate was good, whatever, they're going to have enjoyed it. But the same athlete who doesn't hit the splits they want, who has a really high heart rate, who gets beaten by his training partners, they're not going to enjoy that. So I think enjoyment comes down to performance as well. Like it correlates quite highly with how you've performed. And there is then the second question to that is, there's two parts to the first question is, am I racing my sessions too hard? Well, I'd say so. Like a threshold workout, you shouldn't feel like it's really hard. And you have to, I guess, work out the purpose of the workout. And then once you do that, you can work out the effort level that is desired for that particular workout. And then you should have a gauge on almost the maximum effort level that you want during the workout. So if you're doing a threshold and you get to a point where you're like, this is really difficult, don't know if I can keep that pace up, then if you're then you should, the gauge is you've blown through the gauge. It's too hard by then. And so if you're aware of what the purpose of the workout is, then you can stop yourself from getting into that really hard territory. And that's where having a coach should be able to help you with as well. Like, I'm not sure whether Andrew does have a coach, but that's where a coach should be able to teach you more about running, and teach you to learn to become a better runner through understanding those things.
With the threshold stuff, huge common mistake that people do them too fast, too hard. Like, it's one of the best changes I've made in my training, slowing them down. Like, it makes training more enjoyable, what he's talking about, and it's like, it's not, you could probably do the same session, maybe not double it, but maybe you could do a quarter of it again. It's just...
I think there's actually good research to show that you get a more beneficial result from being a little bit under threshold than being on it.
Sub-threshold, isn't that called?
Yeah, I guess they do call it that. Or, like, I don't know what the exact word for it, but by the time you get to threshold, it's almost too late.
Yep.
So you want to be underneath it, and that's where, like, you can tell if you're coming back, you do a lot of this type of running, you have the intuition, you can feel where, hold on, I reckon I'm at threshold here. I can start to feel stuff accumulate. I'm backing it off.
Yep. And you got to check the ego so much too, and just pull it back and not be like a sucker to the time on the watch and chase a pace.
Yeah,
and I think one of the biggest mistakes, and I've made it for years and years and years, is figuring out what pace you want to run a half marathon in, or for us, because we're not that much slower than an hour, and then trying to do so much training at that pace. It's dangerous. It's not enjoyable, and add 5-10 seconds a K to that, and you'll have much more enjoyment in your sessions, and I reckon you'll run faster.
Yeah, and then you get to the VO2 stuff where you actually are allowed to go hard, and it should feel hard. I think a gauge in, if you're doing those sorts of workouts correctly, let's say it's 8 by a minute hill repeats. A good gauge of the workout is if you can keep the same splits throughout the workout and you don't get dramatically slower, because that's a sign that, you've gone too hard, and it's too hard for the purpose of the workout.
You mean you cooked it earlier in the week with that threshold stuff?
No, I mean...
too hard early in the session.
Yeah, earlier in the session. So that's a sign that you're going too hard in your workout if you can't complete it evenly. Yeah,
and the workout's meant to be so much slower than a race because it's so much different situation. Like, the adrenaline's not there, the atmosphere's not there, you're not fresh, you're tired. Like, I think people get it wrong, that threshold pace. Anyway, that's anything else to add there, Croaks? Answer the last bit for him, because that is a deep question. Is hard a state of mind or a physical barrier?
Look, I think most training sessions should be in that comfortably hard zone, so that you do finish feeling like you could do more. And like, I know since the start of the year where I had COVID and had my calf, like the majority of my training, my sessions have been in that range, and my fitness has progressed like pretty much every month since then. And what I've found by keeping the sessions in that comfortably hard zone, so for example, the 6-minute reps I do on the treadmill, I've been able to do like 36 minutes worth of pretty decent work. Whereas if I'm running harder, I would have in the past, I'm probably only doing 20 minutes worth of work. And by me being able to do 36 minutes worth of, pretty good work, it actually makes then my shorter, more intense sessions a lot easier because I've just developed that, broader base. So that's where I think training should be. And then as for the last part, is hard a state of mind or a physical barrier? I think it's both. Like some days you're just not up, and like hard physically is probably like you're running physically within yourself, but it feels hard because you could be fright. Like, you may have been up all night with the kids. And so that's going to be more of a state of a mind than a physical barrier. So I think it can be both.
It's a good question. Really like that from Andrew. Wonder what club he runs for, Moose, do you know?
Andrew, it wouldn't be hard to find out. You're the king of Google.
Oh, yeah, I'll type it in now. While you guys tell me what's coming up for Moose on the Loose. Listen to, what are we doing? Moose on the Loose purchase of the week. Tell me, Moose.
Moose.
You got the dog?
Dramas with the dog.
Oh,
no, it's coming. It's now coming in a plane.
It can't be cheap.
It's a bit odd.
Premium economy?
It's a really odd setup. Apparently the breed has moved to Tasmania in the middle of like breeding these dogs. So now it's now it's coming from interstate Tasmania. So yeah, it's coming on Saturday. It's going to be touch or go whether it comes during the Bundoora race or not. But geez, I'm enjoying getting ready for it. I got this little pen set up here. Went and got it a nice little collar today. Some treats, some chew toys. It's very good. Baby Pia loves the dog bed. See this pen over here? Looks real good for a baby, actually. So I'm thinking we can just sort of grow them up together. Just utilise the same equipment, same beds, same toys. They're all squeaky toys. A dog's toy is almost exactly like a baby toy. They both drink water. And, yeah, no, it should be good. They're going to grow up together. Pia might ride the puppy. I'm thinking of getting a saddle for it.
You're a dickhead. Have you got a moose on the loose?
No, I'm not one I'm too like out of control angry about. But the medals, like giving the medals out at the end of the race, how are we feeling about that? Like instead of
they get them on quick, don't they?
They get them on quick,
and they're not the real medals, are they?
They're not. No, and there's a medal ceremony afterwards. So it's a bit odd, isn't it? I just thought
for the photos, isn't it?
For the photos, it's a bit strange. I saw the sprinter Shelly-Ann Thompson, is that her name?
Shelly-Ann Fraser.
Shelly-Ann
Price.
Sorry, yeah, Shelly-Ann.
How good? She's 35.
Yeah.
And has won. I think this was her 5th World Championship gold medal in the 100. Like she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was cool watching her at the Olympics. Actually,
I don't mind like the medal stuff. I don't really care too much about. What do you guys think about the false start stuff? Like the thing, like I reckon when it gets to the point where when you watch a replay and you can't tell if somebody has broken, then the window that they use with their electronic timing is too small. Like back in the day, you used to be able to look at a replay and you go, yeah, that guy's broken for sure. But I saw it twice today where I could not see who had broken, but in both of those races, somebody was disqualified.
Yeah, and that's there's actually a great discussion on Athletes Australia by Nick Hoff, or is it Hoff? You know the hurdler.
Yep.
And so he got through to the semis, I believe. He's been a long time Australian athlete. He's been all the major championships. He actually got on there and talked about it intricately. And made some great points, and I learned a lot from his chat. So he if you just give me 1 sec, was
he in the camp that it's too harsh now?
Yeah, he is. He said that it's not guessing. There's some guys that are just really good starters, and they just start so quickly that it's underneath the threshold for the equipment.
Yeah.
So let me just.
I just need to change it. If you look at a replay and you can't tell that somebody's broken, but on the electronic it's got that they've, and because it's such a small amount, they need to, I don't know, maybe within some window it's a warning. And obviously, if it's a massive break, then it's a disqualification. But those ones you can normally tell with the naked eye.
Yeah, and it just like it's a whole your career, right? Like. Yeah. It's your career, just almost, if you were just borderline, this is it, it's done nearly.
Yeah, Devin Allen, he's like, oh, well, I'll go and make my millions playing NFL now.
Yeah. I'm going to actually tune into that because I don't really watch NFL, but I'm going to keep an eye on how he goes. It'd be cool to watch him in that, like in the big league.
What about the coverage of the distance events when they tell you how many kilometres per hour they're running?
That useless fucking marker.
Or the distance, like, so it'd be like Jakob, then it'd be like Stewie, 1.1 metre, and then it's like Kerr, 1.13 metres. You're like, that we can see on the screen. You do not know, and that wouldn't be accurate either, would it? They're not wearing GPSs to know the exact distance.
I do like, though, that in the marathon, they would actually give, like, the last 5 kilometres splits, what they've run for each kilometre. I thought that was always quite interesting to see, like, how it's sort of the pace is fluctuating, or the pace is, they've kicked down to 250 pace.
Yeah, that's good. But those speed indicators and distance to the next athlete indicators, they've been developed by someone who doesn't have any history in athletics or watch athletics.
Yeah.
I don't know how that makes its way onto like an international broadcast.
Waste of space on the screen.
Yeah.
Shows what's happening. Yeah. All right, that's Moose on the Loose. What's coming up? We've got Sydney Harbour 10K this weekend. I think Croaks up in Sydney going under the Harbour Bridge up there. Brett Robertson will win that one, continue his winning streak on the roads. Bundoora Cross Country Moose, the big state cross country champs down here over 10K.
Yeah,
World champs are still happening, and the Commonwealth Games kicks off next Thursday.
Holy
so
shit.
Plenty of results, and the marathon's on Saturday the 30th. Saturday night I think it's going to be our time. I know there's a few pubs in Bendigo putting on the big screen.
Oh,
action,
yeah.
Shutting down for marathon viewing of Andy Buchanan only. So
what time did you say?
I think they're talking 7 p.m. or something like that, I reckon. Yeah, I think on Batchat they were talking about it. I wasn't on there this week, but they were chatting about what time it is. 7 p.m, I think, Bendigo. You going to drive over? Watch?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a cool night. I'm definitely not going to do it, but...
You should do it.
You should get a little camera up in the corner in case he has a blinder.
Yeah, and everyone's like celebrating.
Yeah.
Throwing pots over each other and stuff.
Yeah, no, that would be... that's pretty cool. I don't think you'll need more than one pub doing it, though, just by the way.
I think they're shutting the streets and stuff down, making a big street party down there.
He might get his mum and dad's house. Could be the better option.
I reckon they'd probably fly over, to be honest, his mum and dad.
Oh, true. Yeah, you'd want...
They'll be over there watching. Yeah, that'd be good. You doing anything, Croaks, between now and next week?
Back to work, actually. Back to work tomorrow.
Won't know yourself.
Yeah, I've had a good little break.
Moose, what are you doing between now and next week?
Picking a dog up, you know.
Oh, yeah, so what happens if that happens on Saturday? Can't race.
Send Bree off to get the dog she doesn't want. Yeah.
What, you got to pick it up from the airport?
Yeah. First, yeah, she's not going to be happy about that at all.
Airport's a pain in the asses as they are when you actually got to fly somewhere, not just picking up a dog.
Pick it up. Yeah, no one wants to go to the airport, especially for a dog that you fought to not get.
With a baby.
With the baby, yeah. Baby will be sitting there next to this puppy who's been taken from its mum and its litter mates, been put in an airplane by itself for a few hours.
Oh, poor puppy.
Puppy's going to be upset.
And gets stuck next to a baby for a 2-hour drive back to Anglesey.
No, it goes in the... Oh, yeah. What a circus of a car.
I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so you'll be racing. Nothing else has happened, I don't think. And we'll do it all again next week, fellas.
Have a good week, guys.
See you later.
Have a good evening, fellas. See you later.
So grab a friend and register now to be in the running for Peaks and Trails 2022 merch pack. To enter, follow Inside Running and Peaks and Trails on Instagram, tag a friend and enter one of the distances. It really is that easy.
Can't wait to see you out on the trails at Dunkeld.